is Arun Viswambaran. I'm the pastry chef at The Little Bread Peddler. We make pastries like croissants, pain au chocolat, pain au raisin, brioche, and we deliver them to cafes and coffee shops around London. So during my degree course, I realised that a career in biology wasn't really for me. So at the end of the course, I found a chef's apprenticeship opportunity. I did that for 3 years at a work placement, going to university 1 day a week, stayed on in that job for another year, and eventually found my role here. But I'm not a great chef yet. I'm a great cook, but I do have to continue applying myself and getting better and overcoming all of the challenges that I face here to become a great chef.
I was feeling very apprehensive on that day. But anyway, by afternoon, he posted a message. He sent a message to me directly to say, Mum, you're amazing. I don't say it enough. So for me, when I looked at it, I just thought, oh God, what's going on here? And I sent a message back saying, you both are, I meant like you and Tara, you both are amazing children to me, and I'm blessed with you too. And he didn't reply back to it. And then after some time, I thought, maybe I will, on my way back, I will drop by and see him in Canary Wharf. And all this time, I'm thinking he's at work because he was supposed to be back at work on that day. And then the next thing, I get a call on my phone from an unknown number. And when I pick it up, it was my Arun's friend who called to say, oh, can you come immediately? Arun's not well. So I left work and called Joe's to say, I've got this call, can you make your way to his flat? And I made my way on a cab. On my way, once I got in the cab and everything, on my way, I phoned Eve again just to check what was happening. And she passed the phone over to a policewoman who informed me that Arun's no more. This was on 18th of September 2018, so just 10 months and 2 days ago. The whole world collapsed around me. I was just hoping that maybe he's not well and something's happened. I phoned to check where he's been taken or hospital or something like that. Never expected that, this will be what I'll be hearing. And never ever thought that this will happen to us.
As soon as I heard, I made my way from work. I thought he was having one of his fainting fits, he used to have a couple of times, even here in the house. His eyes would be open, but he'd just faint. Thought it was one of those. But I rushed. But when I got there, I'm running up the steps, and the policeman just outside the door had stopped me. Pulled me off to one side to explain.
I saw him the day before, so 2 days before. He messaged me saying that he invited some friends over and that everyone was busy and that he was upset that no one was coming around to see him. So seeing him say that made me more so feel like I have to come over, I have to see him, because I was going back to uni on the Wednesday and this was on a Sunday that he wanted me to come over. And in my head, I was like, oh, I have things to do, I need to sort myself out before I go. But when I heard that he was upset, I felt like, okay, I have to go. So I went over and I stayed round and we did everything we normally do. He made food for me and we played video games and watched a movie and just relaxed. And then on the Monday, he dropped me to the station and we said bye, and that was that. And I didn't think anything of it. And when I was there, he was upset. Like we still had fun and we still laughed. You know, people who are depressed they still laugh. Like they're not sad 24/7. And he was a bit down, but I'd never thought it would be to that extent.
He came and sat down and talked to me about, said, "Mom, I want to talk to you." I said, "Of course, yeah." And then he told me about, first he said, "Mom, I might be bisexual." And I'm just sitting thinking, I've heard everything, but anyway, so he went on to explain, and I said at the end of our conversation, he's thinking what my reaction is going to be, and I grew up in India and not born and bred here and things like that. And I looked at him and said, so what, at the end of the day, you are who you are. I don't have any issues with what who you are, whether you're gay or bisexual or whatever. I don't have any problems with that, and at the end of the day, you're my son and I love you as you are. And that lifted a lot of weight off his shoulder. And then I actually went on to talk to Jose about it, because he didn't directly talk to him first, and then I think
I was shocked at first, and at the same time disgusted, sort of, yeah. And then on a later day, when I was off and he was off, I had a one-to-one talk with him. And I said the same thing, just accept you as you are. You're our son, and we're just not going to disown you because of your sexuality. We love you very much. Anything you want to say, just tell us, and don't keep it bottled in. That's what I said.
This was in June last year. Arun wanted to chat again, so we were just again sitting here, and he said he's met up with somebody, and that he's finished his uni, and then he will have to move to Norwich, as he couldn't afford the rent in London, basically. So I said, if that's the case, let him come and stay with us. We had rooms here, so we said he can come and stay with us. And then he went on to stay with us for a year, and they moved out. So this was in June 2017. Arun came and talked to us about this, and they moved out in June 2018 to live in their own place. They found their own place and went on to, they moved out in June.
Because it's easier for him to
get to work.
Because he was doing some night.
Yeah, he was doing night shifts.
Night shifts. He would typically have Monday and Tuesday off, work the weekend. Because here the first train is a bit late for him to get to work on time.
All I can say is he was the most kind, generous, loving person. There's not a bad bone in him. He always looked out for other people, and it was just anywhere, people didn't know, he used to support other people, friends, if they had any issues, any problems, he used to bring them here, to talk to me, and he'll cook for them, everything. He just looked out for everybody. He was just too kind, and at the same time was very sensitive.
Just trivial, laugh at it all night. You know, he wouldn't
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
He was artistic. He wanted to
Creative.
show the world that he was creative.
Yeah. Wherever he went, like when he went out, he used to collect special cups, and he used to go online and get limited edition cups and everything. So he's got a lot of collection of cups and saucers, very unusual ones.
His room was next to mine, so every morning he would knock on my door, be like, do you want me to make you tea? Do you want breakfast? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll come down in 20 minutes. We used to watch TV shows together. We used to play video games together. He was very encouraging of like me talking to people and hanging out with people and wearing what I wore. He was never... Yeah, he always knew I could handle myself, which I think was nice. He never doubted me. He never like really treated me like a young girl. He kind of just trusted that I knew what I was doing, which was nice for me.
I was not aware of his mental health issues. He never talked about it. Arun only mentioned after he moved out, like end of July sort of thing. One day, when we had a phone conversation, he said, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit low." I said, go to GP and have yourself checked out. He said okay, and he actually came here and stayed with us because our GP is nearby. So he stayed overnight, went to see his GP, and we had already been to work at that time. And when I phoned him to check, he said, "Oh yeah, it all went well. Look, it was okay. I got given some medication, and that's it." But he never said anything in detail or give me anything in detail to say that it was he talked about his depression, or he was given medication for depression and he was put on sertraline, and he never said anything. He never mentioned anything. I had no idea what he was taking, what medication he was on, things like that. It was just he said, "Oh," and then a week later he said, "Oh, I'm not sleeping very well," and all that, So I said, "Okay, your medication might be a little strong that's been prescribed to you. Why don't you go back to the GP?" And he did come again, stayed with us overnight and went to see the GP. And again, like I usually do, I called him and he said, "Oh, she said it's fine." I should have been a little bit more forceful with, what's going on.
I'd say I was completely ignorant about mental health, how it can affect a person. I never thought that someone in my family would ever come down to having depression. Hindsight, I should have, like Sandhya said, we should have probed into more. But I wasn't giving us any clue as to, that he was suffering mentally. I just thought it was just work pressure. But now I know much more about it, depression can be caused by family pressure at work. It could be anything which culminates into depression. And how people would cope with it, they all cope with it in different ways, yeah. And the Redbridge did not have any funding, was it, for talking therapies, so we think that the GP should review, before just, at the first instance, just prescribing medication, should have some type of kind of buddying system where a family member or a friend, to keep an eye on them for at least, because I understand his first 6 weeks is like hell, Any good emotions or bad emotions are multiplied, hundredfold when you take this medication, is what I understand. And talking therapy should be prescribed first, and the medication should be later, if none of those did work. But Redbridge wasn't being funded at that when Arun needed help the most. It wasn't there for him.
Yeah. Because the rate of suicide is increasing like crazy. I have a lot of Asian friends who I know suffer from mental illness. I have friends in the LGBTQ community who feel like they can't talk about it with their parents, who feel like their parents won't understand when they talk about anxiety or depression or PTSD or eating disorders. It's all very just brushed under the carpet, and it's a problem. Because if you don't talk about it, all it does is just take over your life. So it's very important to raise awareness about it.
Firstly, in the South Asian community, because we don't have any help center or helpline for them. Other communities do have, but not the South Asian community.
Yeah. We just don't want Arun's passing to go in vain, so we decided to set up a charity in his name, which is still in the early stages. We are going to call it Arun's Embrace.
The older generation, having come from India, I think they're not aware or not prepared to accept when something happens in their family. But it's okay, if it happens somewhere else, but not in their family.
I have failed as a son, as a brother, as an employee, a functioning member of society, and as a boyfriend. I am a burden to others. I need to stop being a negative influence on so many lives.
From his letter that he's left, he's explained that he wasn't feeling comfortable having to lead one life here, and when he goes and mingles with his cousins, on holiday back home in India, having to put on another persona there. Yeah. So he's basically had enough of all that, and I think it's the medication that's pushed him over the edge.
My grandmother, a woman who worked hard and cared for us just as much as her husband did, also struggles to understand me. Much of this is due to the fact that she does not know every detail of my life. Others respectfully refrain from telling her the truth about my sexuality, that Aidan is my partner. She will never understand why I skirt the topic of an arranged marriage, why I will never have a biological child, something my father also laments. The truth is, I am ashamed to reveal any of this to her, and I know, despite how everyone actually speaks to or about me, that this makes me ashamed to the greater community. That it has facilitated a divide between who I am here and who I appear to be in India. I know this causes much negative emotion in the family.
I'm doing okay. I think I kind of just carried on with my normal life. So even after it happened, I went back to uni like less than 3 weeks afterwards. I didn't want to drastically change my life any more than it had just been changed, because I thought this is such a big thing, and then if I drop out of uni, then that's another massive life change, where I'd be going from living away and doing all these things to suddenly being at home, and I wouldn't have anything to do, and then I felt like I would be wallowing, so I just continued to do what I normally do.
For me, it's been really hard. I'm finding it really hard at the moment, and have been, and being taught away as well, and Arun not being there. I feel like it's like a life sentence for me, not having him around. He was always there for us. Anything we wanted to do, he was, with his nature, he was like always around, like, Mom, do you need anything? It was just, not having that personal touch, I guess, it has been really hard. Yeah, people do say, like, you have to think of the positives and think of the good times and happy memories and things like that, which I do understand. But it's just that, I haven't come to that stage yet. I'm like, I still go back to thinking, why Arun didn't actually come to me or talk to me about it, It's not. I just feel sad about the fact that, I couldn't help him, or he didn't actually come and talk to me about it. And it's just rewinding back to it all the time, but it's just, at least at some times, I am able to step back from this, from the reality of what's happened, and then think of, like, what I have to do, and move on and let and sometimes just think that he's happy where he is, and then let him be where he is, and then keep his memories alive, and then and do things, to help support people, which would in a way will be his legacy, for me to even if I support just one person, or just help one person think positively and do and achieve in life, that would be a big thing for me. But yeah, I can't just I am going for counseling, which, as I must say, has helped me a lot. But this is the thing, that I think back to, like, if he had some counseling or something like that, it would have helped him as well, to think, differently. I know you go and sit there and talk about your, issues, or your sadness and things like that, but at the end of the day, you get to talk to somebody, and you come out, although you sit there and cry and whatever, you have done, you poured your heart out, at least, you come back, you've unburdened yourself, a little bit.
Go to counselling. I think counselling is great. As in, for me, it really worked. There's a friend that I had at university who was really down, and I said, go to counselling. I think, talk about it. I think the biggest problem is that your mind is your enemy. So you think that, I don't want to burden myself, I don't want to tell people. But I think especially people like me, after going through this, I'm happy to help anybody. So I've said to so many friends, call me anytime. It doesn't matter. If you need to leave the house, call me and come over. I said, even if I'm not home, my parents will open the door. So I think, make friends with people who you can call them at any time of day and not feel bad about it. He knows I can hear him. I can hear him and he can hear me. And I think that brings me comfort. Because I feel like I can talk out loud, and I feel like I know he's listening. And then when he sends me little signs, I feel like, yeah, you're still there.
It's left a big hole in our life. I miss him dearly. First, took some time off work to adjust, to come to terms. Having some counseling helped, and reading into some philosophical literature and all of that helped as well. Yeah. But I've sometimes feel that I'm partly to blame for not disclosing his sexuality, and within the family, and to my mum. And on the day I was thinking, when he took his life, must call both of them himself, Arun and Aidan, to have a chat, but it's not come, it was too late. Yeah. I think he didn't open up to say too much to the Sandhya and I, because I think he felt that he didn't want to burden us anymore, with his issues. Although that we knew that he was gay, but he didn't want to didn't want to put any more pressure on us to make us, there's already pressure there, isn't there? So I think that's why he kept it bottled up, all the negative thoughts and everything that he had written down for us. At least he's explained in full, some 10 pages he's written. In other cases, they wouldn't even give you a clue. They just take their life and go, and you'll be searching forever for why, it happened. But he said, for those looking for answers from my family and such, titled, and then wrote it like a long letter.
I worry constantly about how I affect other people. I worry about what I have actually cost others, financially, emotionally, and in blood, sweat and tears. I constantly berate myself when I fuck things up at home, at work, when I'm trying to take a break from everything, when I'm trying to create the same environment for other people. My inner voice vilifies me every day, but it speaks nothing but the truth. I'm a burden to my friends, colleagues and Aidan.
The parents need to look out for signs of mental health, because that is what both of us, I think, failed to do. Many trivial things, you need to speak to them to open up if there's any underlying causes, and then you need to determine whether it is a mental issue that is affecting them in their daily, whether they're at school or at work, whatever that they are doing, and try and spot it early, so that don't feel they're useless and ultimately take their life, And I think that's where I've and Sandhya failed in spotting that. But if they do not open up, then you can't do much about it. But you need to encourage them to open up and see if they have any issues with their sexuality. They need to open up. But parents also need to be
educating them, educating the parents to be.
They need to
be aware.
Teach themselves, to know about these issues, because in this day and age, we know the LGBTQ, awareness, need to know to help their children or their loved ones in the family. It may not just be the children, it could be anyone in the family that's going through mental illness. Can be work pressure, it can be family, peer, like Sandhya explained. But it's early, spotting them early, will prevent someone taking their life.
I do not seem to fit the definitions of a traditional male. Perhaps because of my sexuality or desire to be more creative, I face more internal turmoil than the average person.
Today I would like to talk about how as a community we have failed Arun and many more in the past, and how culture is overriding religion. What would the community say is such a common phrase within all our households, but why is our fear of the community greater than our strong Hindu faith? For those of you who didn't know, Arun was gay, and even in today's extremely modern society, our small community was so unaccepting. It wasn't just his sexuality that was unaccepted. It was his hair, his piercings, his tattoos, or simply just the way he dressed. Fortunately, his immediate family were so accepting and understanding, especially Mami and Marman. Of course, there was a lot more all of us could have done, including myself, but this tragedy needs to impact the whole community, and the change we need has to start now. However, the support his family provided wasn't widely reciprocated within the community, and this caused a massive rip in Arun's life. Arun now had to begin living a double life, which is common for those of the LGBT community living within an Asian community. Arun was also an atheist, and I never really understood why until recently, and it broke my heart. Arun used to pray to God and ask him to make him not gay. Now, if that didn't sink in, let me say that again. Arun felt so ashamed and out of place that he would pray every single day and ask our all-loving gods to make him not gay, just so he'd fit in. And of course, God's response was, "No, Arun, you are perfect. I made you perfect, just the way you are." But we didn't let him see just how perfect he was. We didn't let his light shine the way God had desired him to. Arun was seen by some as less of a man and treated differently because he was gay and wanted to be a chef. In Hinduism, homosexuality is mentioned as the third gender, and it is not condemned. It is the community whom condemn it. There are people who are so stuck in their values that they would make their beliefs fit the community rather than make their community fit their beliefs. I hope after today, as a community, we can begin to change our views, widen our perspectives, and not let Arun's death be in vain. I could talk about Arun forever, and if you also wanted to talk about him more, please find me in the Fleece after.
Today I'm here to raise mental health awareness as I lost my cousin 8 months ago today. We need to raise awareness within the Indian community as people, I feel like it's seen as a taboo, it's just brushed under the carpet. People see it as some disease that nobody can talk about, but it needs to be spoken about more instead of just like brushing it under the carpet. This is why it happens. To know that it's happening today, it's current, we need to deal with it. We can't just run away from it. This is what happens because nobody wants to talk about it. Within family, we need to share these kind of messages that you're not alone, that people do go through this together, so stick together, make the awareness within Indian communities, broaden everyone's knowledge that depression does happen, how to deal with it, to signpost people.
He's a lovely man who had a very nice nature, I wouldn't say butukus, was very talented, was very passionate about his food, and, you know, to all intents and purposes, supposedly quite happy at his job, and would always talk about the bakery that he worked at. Would make us a lot of desserts. In fact, the last time I saw him, he had made a coconut croissant that he was selling to help raise money for the Kerala floods. That was about 3 weeks before he passed away. So we all miss him very much. He was a very big part of our lives and had a lot to offer and a lot of value to add to people's lives.
No one is to blame. The problem lies with me and me alone. A fact I haven't been so honest about, but people may have guessed at, is my hatred of myself.